Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is Mohammed Ibrahim. Today's topic we're going to cover on student debt and also how I tackled my student debt from 80K and how I paid it off in less than 3 years. And I'm going to talk about some of the, my personal experience, some of the tactic and strategy that I followed. This topic is very important, for every student debt people over there because it covers a lot of things that's being not talked about in the mainstream. So having a student debt pulls you down like few years behind with someone who doesn't have in terms of like starting a family, changing a career, or buying a home. The most important part is like building your wealth. It holds you down in a big way. Let me put it this way. So there are high interest and low interest concept, right? So the student loan mostly, in many cases, it's a low interest debt, but that doesn't mean that you're off the hook because you can't call a bankruptcy on the student loan. So it's very important, right? So my personal experience, I had like 80K student loan, which I paid off in 3 years. It's a combination of different things that I followed and being disciplined. So one of the thing is budgeting. I know everyone hates the word budgeting, but let me put it this way: knowing your money in and money out is very important. It's nothing but money in is just the income that you're receiving. Money out is your expenses. What are the some of the, so you need to know what's the money coming in, right? So in terms of like making sure that whatever the money comes in, it goes for the right thing and you pay off that student loan faster than anyone. There is the statistics where they mentioned about like it's approximately 1.86 trillion dollars student debt, according to education.org. I'll put it in the link down below so you can take a look at it. So you can see what's an absurd number of value is that, for a country to have in student loan debt. And it directly translate to like, low income, middle class people, how their salaries are being utilized for paying for the student loan. So one thing that I followed is the budgeting, right? And second thing that you could follow is like, meal prepping in terms of like reducing your grocery, going out to eat, and also strategically thinking about what are you doing in terms of investment. Can you like, make it math work out to invest that money in the stock market and pay it later on? And also, think about it this way: if you are paying a 3% interest on your student debt, if you paid it off, you could invest that interest, into the stock market, and that grows your wealth, right? Me, honestly, I want to get rid of this student loan as soon as possible, regardless of what's the interest rate is, because it ties me down in terms of like if I want to change my career to something else that I want to do, but I can't because I need to pay the bills and pay the student loan, right? So that's the one thing that I would say, like, keeping an eye on like what's the intensity that you're going at in terms of doing it. This topic is essentially very important to me because it gives me a freedom. The shackles has been broken where I can think about like financial independence where I'm not relied on it, right? I could take a mini retirement, which is today's trend of like, quitting a job, going and traveling the world, which I can't do if I have a student loan debt because I have to pay it. And you got to be really careful of what you're dealing with right here. It's not the high credit card debt that you can pay it off in few months if you think about it, but the student loan, some people carry like 10, 15, 20 years even till their retirement, which is scary to be honest with you, because at that point you're going to be sacrificing your lifestyle in huge way because you don't have any money coming in, especially during the retirement side, right? And if you want to buy a home, you can't do it because you're paying off your student loan, which may or may not translate into getting a high income job, because not every education or the money invested in specific major translate to the high income, not at all. If you're a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, you're going to earn money for sure, you're going to earn more money, right? But if it is like any other major, it's not going to be easy, right? And that's what the education system has failed us from talking about it. So if I want to do one takeaway for you, that would be like budgeting, making sure you know where's your money coming in, where's money going out, what are you spending on, what are your priorities, what are your life value, what are some of the things that you wanted to achieve. So you got to keep that in mind and put your money where your mouth is. Put your money, like, in terms of like the value that added to your life rather than doing it. And that's where paying off the student loan is very important. Thank you for listening to me. Please comment down below if you have any questions, or what do you think about the student loan, how it has ballooned to $1.8 trillion. See you in next video. Bye. So budgeting is one thing where it's one of the lever that you can pull in order to pay your debt faster. Budgeting is one lever that you can control in terms of from your main hustle, working 9 to 5 job, to control your spending and your investing, your expenses, right? But there's another lever that you can pull is doing side hustle. I know, it's been thrown out a lot, doing a side hustle. But look in this way, it's not about the side hustle, but what if you can translate that a business? So you don't have to work 9 to 5 job anymore, right? So in terms of like figuring out, there are a lot of side hustle you could do, like the pet sitting, the Uber driver or DoorDash delivery, or even translating some of your business ideas into getting a first customer, being good at sales, being good at marketing, doing social media, getting into YouTube or Instagram, TikTok. There are millions of ways that you could do if you put your time and efforts and hard work into it, right? So that are like that's the second lever that I would definitely pull. And the third one is like, if you are living in an apartment in a two-bedroom or a single bedroom, try to see if you can bring in another roommate. If you're living in a two-bedroom, that reduces your rent a lot, because the rent and the groceries and going out to eat is one of the biggest expenses. So if you can bring it down by doing like grocery at a discounted places instead of a name branded one, doing like a meal prep, so those things would really help you out in terms of how you wanted to make it work. And the fourth thing would be is like, you got to be patient. This is a long term game. You got to be patient. You have to think where you wanted to sacrifice. Is this something that I want to sacrifice? Taking an vacation, going out with the friends with the drinks or having food, eat out a lot. So you got to be strategic. You got to be like very strategic on what's something that brings value to you. Paying off your student debt, is it more value, or going out with your friends, or eating out constantly? I'm not saying don't do it at all. Obviously do it. I've done it as well. But in terms of like, you know separating these things out, where you wanted to spend and when and how much you wanted to do it. If you are doing some big purchases, think for a second, like, do I need these new things, or can I work with what the older version that I have? The one of the big thing is like having the high interest car loan, which is another thing that every Americans have, right? So in terms of like looking at like, do I want to get this high interest loan, or can I save up some money and buy like a older car, or like 2 3 year 4 year older car? That's